Yeah, so a bit about myself. I'm from Venezuela, and I've been in Spain for the last 6 years, more or less. I wasn't always a software developer. I used to be a telecommunication engineer, and after some years, I realized I wanted to change careers. I wanted to do something different, and I was lucky enough to get to know some people in the software development area. So I started getting interested by that, and little by little started getting into coding. And I was lucky enough to do a bootcamp 4 years ago, so that I was able to kind of focus my career in software development. So I wanted to ask a question, and you can answer in the chat, and I think we'll review afterward. But like, if you had the same experience, I would like to know, when was that moment that you decided to go for web development? Like for me, it was just realizing that I was gonna kind of do telecommunication engineer for my whole life, and like I didn't see myself doing that. So yeah, I'm just interested in knowing like if anyone else had the same experience. So a bit about Thoughtworks. Thoughtworks is a leading global technology consultancy, and it has been in the business for over 28 years. Based on my experience, I can tell you that a consultant at Thoughtworks has the freedom to create bold, forward-thinking solutions for clients in diverse industries in a collaborative but inclusive and autonomous teams that have the power to change technology one step at a time. And as technologists, we have a unique role to play in ensuring that the technology we build benefits all of the society. So we want to build a more equitable future, and Thoughtworks, through our culture and the technology excellence that we're known for, we have a great purpose. So that's why it creates an extraordinary impact in the world, or at least we try to. And yeah, so I mean, but how did I even get here, right? Like, I remember I got a call from a recruiter at the time, and I didn't know Thoughtworks before, so I didn't know anything about it. The most interesting thing was when they told me that if I joined as a graduate, they had this graduate program, and I was going to be part of this intensive training at the start of my career. So it was going to be, by the time it was 5 weeks. So I was, if I will get in, I will go to our India offices and be there for a 5-week training. After that, I was like really excited, right? It's like, okay, this sounds really good to be true. So I got a technical test, and some days after I gave it back, I got some feedback, which I thought was really nice because, you know, like that gave me opportunity to improve, or like know where I could improve in that moment. And after that, they told me that they wanted to schedule an office day. And what it meant at the time, it was that I would come to the office and get in different interviews by different people. I think I've met at least 7 or even 10 different persons that day. And this is like something really nice we do at Thoughtworks, and it's that we believe that the best way to get a sense of like knowing how to work here is to come to the office and meet a bunch of different people and like different roles. I wasn't only interviewed by software developers or like engineer managers or anything like that. I was interviewed by any kind of role, and in the company. So that was really cool. And finally, I got that call offering, making me an offer, and yeah, so I was going to Thoughtworks University. But then what is Thoughtworks University, right? So best way I think to say what Thoughtworks University is by reading its mission statement. And its mission is to prepare entry-level hires who have not consulting or professional technical experience for their first Thoughtworks engagement. I mean, this is not always true because, I mean, you can have some working experience like myself, right? I had a different background, but they were preparing me especially for a first engagement at Thoughtworks, which I think it was really cool to have at the first place. So this is me back then. This is in India offices, and this is of course like way pre-global pandemic. But yeah, so the idea was that I was gonna spend here 5 weeks, and it wasn't like a technical focus kind of training. It was everything. Like we were doing from consulting skills, presentation skills, how to, work and collaborate with my team members. So it was pretty intensive, but also it was super useful. I was feeling confident. I was feeling ready to go back and start working on my first engagement, right? So I felt like I definitely had all the right tools to, join my first client, and also know what I could contribute to my team. And most important, what I needed to keep working on to, just improve mainly my technical skills in my case, since I was a changing career, like a career changer, then of course, like I had like big gap in the technical aspect. But I got pretty detailed feedback at the end of my training, and I knew like pretty much what are the next steps that I needed to do. So how did it happen, right? Like how did it went from trainee to trainer? So first thing I think was like having that clear feedback from the Thoughtworks University program. It was super helpful because I could have like clear goals and like clear, like next steps, making a plan to what are the areas I need to work on. Then the second step for me was finding people that will help me to reach those goals. And I think Thoughtworks is great for that, because we don't only encourage, of course, like people to help each other, but like also it's like an expectation that you will be coaching and mentoring other people, so that it's also your responsibility to grow others, right? Like not only you as yourself like need to grow in your own career. So I remember I found my first kind of like technical coach. So we had like a really nice plan of like idea of how I needed to start working on this. Also, at the beginning, I think when I joined my first client, I thought I couldn't bring really any value to the team, or like because I was too new or like too junior, that my experience, like maybe it wasn't useful for this. And actually it was on the contrary. Like I had other strengths, right? Like I was really good to communicating with the client. I was really good building trust and relationships. And that's super useful also. Like it's not only about coding. So all the experiences you bring and all the previous experiences you have are always like come in handy whenever you are working for, either it can be a product company or like a client in our case. So I mean, yeah, everything just is useful for this. And also, like I was very passionate about like our values. So having regular feedback and just thinking about how the team can collaborate better. So I was kind of bringing that to the team, since in Thoughtworks University, that was one of our main points, right? Like we should be having regular feedback so that we can know where our like blind spots, so that we can continue to grow. So if I have to summarize, how did I get from junior to senior developer so fast? I would say by having a support network. And I think it's super important to rely on other people to help you grow and like seek for that help. I feel that in technology, sometimes we feel like if we ask for help, we then like cannot, like it seems like we cannot do it by ourselves, right? Like, oh no, we need to be able to do it on our own, or like just not ask everyone, like anyone. And I don't know, I think it's the contrary, right? Like we should be relying on our team, on our friends, because I mean, you'll get to know a lot of people even outside of your working cycle, right? Like software development, like there are a bunch of meetups and conferences, so you get to meet a lot of people. But also it's like to focus your growth not only technically, but your mental health. it's super important. So there were times that things didn't go right? Like I couldn't figure out stuff, and like I was frustrated. And I think this is the most important times when you need to reach out so that you don't lose motivation. Because I mean, at the beginning when you're learning, it seems like everything is too much. Like there's a lot to learn. There's like, it's impossible that I'm going to be able to do this as a career, right? But I think that's the moment when you need to just push even harder, like push forward. So I mean, having a support network and people that you can trust and reach out when this happens, like it's super important. So finally, once, I didn't expect to, like I was a senior, and it looks like we went, Thoughtworks University was remote. I got an offer to be a trainer. I remember after coming back from Thoughtworks University, first thing I did was like sign up to this waiting list. I was like, I know I cannot do it right now, but like whenever I can, like I want to do it, right? So that arrived 3 years after, right? And when I got the offer, I was like super excited because finally I was kind of like closing a cycle. I was like, I started from a trainee and I'll be trainer now. I'll be able to give back and like, pass on all my experience and just impact all the people's life like this. I think it was super rewarding. So this is how it looks now. Actually, it went from 5 weeks to 7 weeks because, of course, being remote, it just has another challenges, right? Like we're not in person anymore, so it's more difficult to connect with each other right away. We don't want to be 8 hours per day on Zoom, so we had to kind of distribute better the time that we spend in Zoom, like sessions and other things, and also give time for the trainees to be on their own, have like some self-learning time away from Zoom. So this took us to like now 7 weeks per program. And I mean, from the trainer side, like trainee was pretty intense and a lot of work. Trainers have a lot of more work here, I think. But it is super rewarding. It is super exciting to see people, like just finishing those 7 weeks and just feeling so confident and like ready to take on their first project. So I think it's really worth it. And like, for my Thoughtworkers colleagues, like if you have like the chance to do it, like you should definitely do it at some point. I think also for people that join Thoughtworks that they didn't join as graduates, it's like a really nice way of like really get to know other side of Thoughtworks, because I guess it's a bit different, right? Like starting as a junior and like then joining later on Thoughtworks. But so it was so what we try to keep in mind the mental health of our trainees, but also giving them all the session needed still to live out confident. And I think like it's managed to be that, right? I mean, you can see all these faces there, like they look pretty happy. Anyways, going back to how like did I do it when I started. So I wanted to share some learnings and challenges I had, so that if you went through this experience or if you are thinking of changing careers, then I mean, at least I think this I would want have to know it before I started, and I think it helps a lot to know as well. So one of the things was that learning a lot of new things can feel overwhelming, and this is normal, of course. Like I said, whenever you are starting a new career, and like especially in the technology area, there's always new things coming out, right? Like every week there's a new framework, every week there's a like, I don't know, an upgrade to the language, and like you have to feel like you need to keep learning. I mean, it's okay not to know everything. You'll never do. And that's why it's one of the reasons why like you should never feel like, until like I feel confident about what I know, like I'm not going to change careers. I mean, I think the most important thing is that you know the basics, and like honestly the basics are pretty basics, and you will learn whatever you need in your first job, but you need to try, because if not, then yeah, you'll just continue to feel like you need to learn a bunch of things and it will never be enough. Knowing what to look for makes a difference. I say that my bootcamp, or like the bootcamp I did, helped teach me mainly how to Google. It was like mainly this. It's like you don't need to know a lot, but it's just like you need to know what to Google for, right? Like if you have a problem, if you find yourself like wanting to do something, if you know what you need to Google, it just like answers are out there. That's why I say like you don't need to know everything. You just need to know how to find things or ask the right people, right? Then having a code buddy or a mentor to ask questions. I mean, like I said before, having a support network for me made a big difference. If you cannot find this in your current company, or like whatever you start your first job, there are a lot of like organizations out there that I collaborate with them also, but like you can find coach, you can find a mentor, and like meeting once per week or once every 2 weeks, it helps a lot to not feel that you're on your own, that you have to feel that you have somebody you can go to if you're stuck. Because at the beginning, when you're starting to learn things, of course, like getting stuck is pretty normal, and like it's gonna happen. And I think it's how we deal with those frustration. It's the key to like move on and be able to keep growing. So definitely having someone that you can ask questions. Then, like I said before, feeling you're ready to pursue as a career. You're never gonna feel like you're ready. I think I still like some days I say like, okay, am I even a software developer? I mean, this is like normal. Imposter syndrome is real, and it's gonna be there. It's gonna be something that you need to deal with. I don't want to say forever, but like most of the time. So I would say that you need to, like, if you have a code buddy, a mentor, like they probably can help you as well to know when you are ready, right? Like you are ready to take on a job, you're ready to try it out as a career. Because yeah, I think there's never gonna get that I'm ready feeling. So, but then where can we start if we wanna decide to change careers? So like I said, there are different organizations, and I'm just naming a few here, but like, I mean, if you Google for sure, and there's some of them in your, like close to you, or even like now in remote, you can just connect to any of them if they're not in your local like city. So for example, I do collaborate with Code Woman, and they are an organization part of like MigraCode. And if you haven't heard of them, like you should definitely Google them out. So MigraCode actually says social bootcamp, and they help people, like immigrant people, to get into tech. But then Code Woman focus on those immigrant women, and we are helping them to also like get into tech, meeting with them every 2 weeks so that we help them with their assignments, like, or if they have any other projects they want to work on. So we're available for them to coach them on it. It's a voluntary basis. So of course, like it depends on the day you're going to get more coaches or more students, but I think it's worth if you're an experienced developer, or like not even experienced. I mean, I was a coach first time when I was still like a junior. So I think always like any knowledge you have, it's already more than a knowledge that a person that's just starting into coding will have. So you can always help. Also CodeBar. So CodeBar is a similar organization. It's for for minorities. Mainly, and then what we do, saying like we meet once every month, more or less, and we have a session where we pair with coaches and students. And I mean, this like are different backgrounds, right? Like not necessarily doing a bootcamp, but maybe they just are interested in starting software development, so they come here, and yeah, you might get a new student every meeting, because I mean, depending on the regularity, then yeah, you might not get the same as like in Code Woman. it's more regular, like the same students, because they're going through that bootcamp in that moment. Some free online sites, but I mean, there's a bunch also, but this is some of the ones that I used when I got started. Code Academy, it's pretty interactive, so it's really nice because it tells you the theory, but also lets you practice. And if you cannot figure out the answer, like also you can open up the answer. So it's very difficult that you will get stuck because it just has everything. So this to do on your own is very nice. Free Codacamp and Screamba, they're more of like tutorials. So it has tutorials, and you can follow on with like videos or just like instructions they have. Other things I do, for example, if you're already like into coding and like you want to learn a new language, I like to Google for the language cones. So this is normally they give you a repository with tests, and they are all in red. So you have to implement the code to put them like past them, right? Like make them green. It's really nice because they're really small tests, and it goes just like from, I don't know, basics, how to create a variable, to like how to do a for loop or whatever. It's just the purpose of the cones are to teach you the syntax language. So I think it's just really nice and easy. And also if you want to practice some, like, you know, with testing, then it just has a lot of things, like a lot of benefits. Books. So I'm not a lot like into books. I have a few of like them, but definitely to get started, any of the head first. So when I started, I actually did the bootcamp in JavaScript. So I didn't know any Java. And at Thoughtworks, for example, like we have a lot of clients with Java. So that's important to know. Head First Java was really nice. It's super interactive. It's not the typical book you'll get like tired reading, right? So, I mean, yeah, you can just go along and then do some practical stuff. So, I mean, super helpful. Yeah, so I have some resources here. We probably will send them with the recording. So yeah, just like all these things I mentioned here, you can find them, the links here. And then finally, I wanted to do like a quick summary of then my journey and like how I think, that this is what the minimum you need to get started into coding. I would say eager and willingness to learn, mostly. Knowing that asking for help is not a weakness. And like I said, on the contrary, that this will help you get far and just keep growing. There's no such thing as arriving late to this party. So when I changed career, I was almost 30 years old. And I felt that at that point, of course, like I had built another career, right? Like at that point, I was like either gonna be like, already a manager or something like that in telecommunication, but I needed to decide what was more important for me. And actually, I didn't care so much about like hierarchy or like roles or anything. What I wanted to do is like something that will motivate me and will just not just like wake up in the morning and actually want to go to work, right? So that was like an easy decision. But I do understand like some people, and this happens sometimes, like, okay, maybe my lead or like my team lead is way younger than me, because again, like we all have different journeys, right? Like we all have different experiences, and that's normal. Like if I'm never gonna be the same as a person that started coding since they were 13 years old, and that's okay. Like we have different paths. That doesn't mean that I'm less capacity to do stuff. It just means I have a different like path, right? So I think once you kind of pass over this, I mean, I have friends that become software developer that are 40 plus, even 60 plus. I mean, anyone can code if you ask me. And most important, believe in yourself. And I know this is a bit cheesy and like most people will tell you the same, but it's true. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I'm in a company that they value who I am and what I do, and they value my work. But imagine if I end up in a company that is like people are competitive, that people want to, make you doubt of your capacity. If I don't believe in myself and I believe what other people tell me, probably I'll believe that, right? Like probably will be easy to believe that I cannot do this, or like, I shouldn't be pursuing this career. So I think most important thing is that if you want it, you should believe that you can do it, because you can.
Okay. Thank you, Monica, for sharing your story with us and giving us all this information and all these tips. I wanted to ask you if maybe you have one last recommendation or one last conclusion for someone who's wants to start a career as a software developer and doesn't know where to start or is afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So one question I get asked many times is like, oh, do you think I can code? Like, do you think I can be a software development? Maybe because their background is, I don't know, maybe they used to be a chef or like carpenter. I have friends actually that they had all these different backgrounds and they changed careers and they are a software developer today. So I would say it doesn't matter what background do you have, or like if you're good with numbers or not, because this is another like myth, right? Like you need to be good with numbers. If you want to get into coding, all you need is like to want it, and want it really bad, because when you're frustrated, it's like really, like difficult and you feel like you cannot go on. But this is the moment when you need to just keep on and pursuing it, because you're probably gonna get it.